Greetings to viewers and fellow Final Fantasy fans. This is Final Fantasy Fan 012 and welcome to my other live stream. And sorry if I also had to delay the Shazam Power of Hope stream from yesterday, and I will have to delay it again by Sunday, which I'll go into details some at the end. But I am joined here in today's stream with my good friend Dominic Powell from the UN Spacey Wolf Squadron.
Hey there, Final. Thank you for inviting me for your live stream. In this case, where you're going to be talking about a rewrite for Final Fantasy 15.
Exactly, because today we are actually doing a rewrite for Final Fantasy 15. And I see Eloise Dawdle here in the chat. How you doing?
Hey there, Eloise. I thought you were in bed already.
I mean, she's probably just gonna be watching us, but she'll probably tell us when um if she's gonna be going to sleep. She'll pretty much already tell us anyway. Um, but yeah, um, even though one thing first, I do want to say though, I honestly do enjoy Final Fantasy 15 for what it was, but I will admit it had definitely had a lot of problems. It really did, as I just began to notice. But the main reason why I was wanted to do this, it was mainly because of the book that pretty much motivated me for doing this. I think it was called Final Fantasy 15: A New Dawn, where it's basically just all the canceled DLC content that they originally planned after episode Arden, and they put it all in the book, and they just put everything in there for the sake of what they tried to envision, but then they canceled it due to low sales of the game. But this was this stream was the motivation for doing that because honestly, I never really liked the ideas that they presented in the book, especially because of with Bahamut being the villain in the overarching villain in this whole fiasco instead of Arden, because like they already had Arden planned to be the villain anyway for this entire game, in spite of a very sympathetic background as the figure of benevolence betrayed. But why bother? Like I still don't even get why like Luna Freya being Skuna Tuna's here in the chat. How you doing? Um, but yeah, I was not a big fan of the Final Fantasy 15 book, though I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 for what it was, but still had a lot of problems. But this stream is just for how I would imagine that would what would have been like if I had to write for Square Enix for Final Fantasy 15. And so, but Dom, did do you actually have any thoughts for Final Fantasy 15?
Well, to make it short and simple, it has a good concept as well as story. Like you, I do enjoy it for what it is. Like after watching the gameplay videos and walkthroughs for the game. However, its potential was held back.
Mm-hmm.
And now, from what I've heard, from what I heard through the Great Grapevine about what they wanted to do for the game, but were decided to not to do it and put it in the books due to the low sales of the game. Yeah, for those who played it, I can't help but to sympathize with them about their disappointment.
Oh yeah, and yeah, like Schooner said here in the chat, like just like why bother? Why switch out bad guys at all? I mean, you can have like more than one antagonist, like maybe it might be like a whole team or an organization type thing, but why just switch out bad guys at all? Like this is even the same problem that this is the same problem that Power Rangers Super Mega Force even did. A bit off topic, but like first it's Rock, then it's Prince Vakar, then it's Rock again, then it goes back to Prince Vakar because they just keep flip flopping bad guys in that show. And this is the same problem here. They just keep flip flopping bad guys, even though they already had Arden to be set up in the game as the main bad guy.
Yeah, it sounds like one of the writers or developers up for Final Fantasy 15 had gotten cold feet.
Well, well, not really in cold feet. There's just way too many cooks in the kitchen for this because Tetsuya Nomura was originally going to be involved in this, which he was, but then they keep switching out many different people for this, and so then they had different ideas. So then the whole concepts for Final Fantasy Versus 13 had been switched for an entirely different team for Final Fantasy 15 when it was when it renamed it that. Excuse me, during its development cycle.
Yeah, time and again, we would hear stories of issues such as this.
Hmm.
This, this game's not the first, nor would it be the last.
Exactly, yeah, because this is because even Japan had still been struggling with this. Nintendo or Intelligent Systems had even been struggling with this since Fire Emblem Fates. Two Fire Emblem games actually. It was Fates and then the recently released Fire Emblem Engage, where they'd be going so ambitious. They had way too many cooks in the kitchen for this. There'd be different ideas. They had really good concepts, but a lot of it had been failed on execution. And Square Enix has been no different from this, not only with their Final Fantasy games, but with many of their other games that they would have had outside of that.
Long, long story short, or like this is an example of what not to do in making a video game or a video game series.
Exactly, yeah. Is that you would have way too many cooks in the kitchen. And
Well, that's a simple that is a simple solution. Don't have too many cooks. Just have your main chef.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm not opposed to flip flopping bad guys coming into stories, but have them either be part of a villainous organization and or have diverse group of villains be in competition with one another. Yeah, that'd be one way. Yeah. In
That
fact,
can work.
yeah. And so because this is the thing when it comes to storytelling, you got to keep it simple as best you can. How? Exactly. Because that's always the thing that people, especially with today, if you want to be a writer, keep it simple.
Also be consistent with what you have previously established.
Exactly, yeah. And so now with so now what I'm going to try to do here is now I'm going to try to I already have everything envisioned for what I have planned for Final Fantasy 15 for its overarching story. For actually no, it's overarching story. It's overall story. So here's how it goes. So in the beginning of the Final Fantasy 15 in the Final Fantasy 15 universe, at the very beginning, there were the gods, which are known as the Aeons in this universe. And the Aeons consist of Bahamut, the god of light, as well as the king of the gods, Ifrit, the god of fire, Shiva, goddess of ice, as well as Ifrit's lover, Leviathan, the water serpent god, Titan, the earth god, Chaos, the god of darkness and Bahamut's brother, Odin, Chaos's right-hand man, as well as Death God, Garuda, the wind god or wind goddess actually, and Ramu, the thunder god, as well as Garuda's brother. And so then together they created Eos, which is the name of this world, and they've also created humanity. But sooner or later, humanity had been as humanity is their proudest achievement, but sooner or later they started growing a bit destructive. And as soon as they started growing more and more destructive, everything's falling out of control. So then the gods do a council meeting for on what they should do for humanity. Chaos thinks that he should destroy all of humanity and try to start over all over again and try to create something superior, like something more um far from humanity. But to which Ifrit, Leviathan, and Garuda actually agree on, because they're using their powers for they were using fire and water, as well as they're basically using all of their properties for very destructive purposes. And so the rest of the other gods, including Bahamut, disagree with this. And so they think they should actually give humanity guidance and actually guide them towards a brighter future, to actually uh, give them exactly what they need in order to move on, especially to pass it on to their kinsmen, their children. And so then the decision was called, and they decided to guide humanity. And though Bahamut, or no, not Bahamut, though Chaos is bittersweet about all of this, the gods actually decided to actually guide humanity, and Chaos would be guiding humanity, when really he's just setting them up for destruction, because so that he would start humanity all over again in order to create something new, something something to surpass humanity. So then he would be gearing them towards destruction, whether it's family turning against family or setting them up to their own deaths in the hands of Ifrit, Odin, Garuda, or Leviathan. But then Odin begins questioning Chaos's orders and saying, "Why do you even want to do this? You're already going against your own brother." And so then Chaos would be like, "Screw him. He's just too soft. The rest of the gods are just now too soft. And for humans who all they want is just to destroy each other, because we've seen all this. That's what all they want to do." So then Odin goes to Bahamut, actually leaves Chaos and goes to Bahamut and tells him everything about what Chaos has been trying to do, especially with Ifrit, Garuda, and Leviathan. And so then all of them hear about this, and they would be disturbed about what they're all doing. So then they actually strip Chaos from being a part of them, or like part of their council, being a part of this pantheon, rather, if you get my drift. So then because of this, so then as soon as Chaos actually knew what Odin was doing, he thought of, okay, fine. If you're gonna be that way, Odin, then be it. So then that's when he, Garuda, Leviathan, and Ifrit actually started to form, and they created monsters, what is known as the Daemons, which will be the monsters in this universe, which they're created just to give like more horsepower, more power to overthrow Bahamut, so then he could rule. Oh, this Joseph's in the chat. Which Final Fantasy game are you rewriting? Final Fantasy 15. So then once the demons are made, Chaos made them to try to overthrow all the gods. So then he would take over Bahamut's throne, so then he could rule all of humanity with an iron fist. And in fact, one such Daemon that they made, they actually created from a skeleton, and actually is now the replacement for Odin, and they called him the Lich. So who will actually be the Earth Fiend. And Ifrit, Leviathan, and Garuda are respectively the fiends of fire, water, and wind. So then they form the four fiends of chaos. And in retaliation of all of this, or no, not in retaliation, not because in response, what I meant, into all of this, the gods actually decided that they would give humanity a choice to fight alongside them, to fight against the daemons, and to stop and to seal away chaos for good. And so they created two crystals. One crystal all the gods made is the crystal of magic, which grants the humans which would grant the humans the abilities to cast magic and turns them into the mages. But the other crystal is the crystal of light, which Bahamut created, and he would give them to 4 specific humans who would choose to be the defenders of this world should chaos ever come back, or like should any of this happen again, if the forces of darkness should chaos ever come back. And so then he chose 4 humans who actually, or not he chose, 4 humans decided that they would actually do this to take up on this responsibility, and so they've been bestowed the power of light, and thus creating this world's very own warriors of light. And so, in the midst of all this battle between the humans versus the daemons and the gods versus the fiends, basically legacy heroes. And so, with the gods versus the fiends and the humans versus the daemons, the humans and the gods came out on top. They sealed away chaos forever, so then he would not come back to the surface world, so that they put the barrier around it. All the fiends have been sealed away from the surface world from Eos. So then they're never to get out. So now an era of peace is now at hand. And while in this era of peace, there have been 3 kingdoms over time. The first is the kingdom of Tenebrae, which is the kingdom of magic. The next is the kingdom of technology, which is the Niflheim Empire, which they specifically use technology, while one thing for to actually create many technological wonders, but over time they will start using their technology for more destructive purposes, as we'll see why a lot later. And then the third kingdom is the kingdom of Lucius, which is where the Warriors of Light actually formed. The 4 Warriors of Light that are chosen actually formed this kingdom. Actually, 2 of the Warriors of Light. The 2 of the Warriors of Light are part of the kingdom of Tenebrae, and the other 2 form the kingdom of Lucius. The Niflheim Empire was man-made, because because science and technology is always man-made, because they always push for this. And so the crystal of light is housed in the kingdom of Lucius, and the crystal of magic is housed at the kingdom of Tenebrae. And so then, now that the kingdoms are formed, meanwhile, when this is happening, Chaos as much as he would try to find a way to get out, and all of the other 4 fiends did, they still couldn't. But then Chaos thought of something greater. And so then, if he couldn't, what he instead tried to do. So there are kingdoms of magic, technology, and heroes. The kingdom of Lucius is the best of both worlds, a best of science and magic. So then they would use those 2 camps in those separate camps to actually form the Kingsglaive. So they would actually. So it's 2 separate Kingsglaives that they would actually form, and you could either use that for either a Kingsglaive that you want to use for technology or magic. Like if you want to become a Mystic Knight, or either a Mystic Knight or a gunner or a machinist, something like that. And so now Chaos, now that he can't even get out the barrier, he then decided that if I can't get out, he'll then transfer some of his essence from the surface world to actually find a loophole from this. Like if they can't physically get out, so then they would have to use. So then he would use his essence to actually to create a human host. To find a human host for his power, so then he will try to finish what he started. to try to take over the world with an iron fist. After he's just felt in order to actually rule them all. And so where does this fall to now? Enter Arden Izunia, who is, or actually Arden Lucius Kylum, actually. That's his real name, at least in the game. And so he was originally about to be Arden Lucius Kylum the First, because he's about to be crowned as the king of Lucius. So then he was about to get married, and the best man to his wedding is going to be his younger brother, Prince Somnus. But then suddenly, when he's about to get married, a serpent actually sneaks up on. Actually, a serpent sneaks up on Arden. I'm not saying much since I'm not knowledgeable on the subject. It's okay. It's okay. So then a serpent comes up on Arden, and he actually bit him in his hand. And so then, because he was bitten in his hand, Arden passes out, and then they start to notice. So then he was actually taken to his bed chambers. So then, just to see if he's okay, and he seems to be fine by far. And they're just glad to know that he's okay. But suddenly, it ain't. Suddenly, this the snake that actually bit him, turns out that's actually Chaos. Chaos's essence, or Chaos's essence disguised as a serpent. So a lot of his essence basically would act as the poison that would slowly corrupt someone. And so then this is what's going to happen to Arden. Like, more monstrous intentions start creeping into his mind. He starts looking more grotesque, or not grotesque. Like, the more monstrous look of Arden that's shown a bit frequently throughout the entire game. You know that, Dom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's slowly starting to be what's becoming of Arden is that it's because of Chaos's essence. It's actually corrupting him in his mind. It's turning him into a monster, and he starts growing a bit lovesick towards her lover. I forgot what's actually going to be her name, though. So then, so lovesick, in fact, it's actually scaring her, and so she broke up with Arden, and then he runs away from him in favor for Somnus, Arden's younger brother. And it's because of that, he started growing envious, he started growing wrathful, and then suddenly now he starts losing all of it. Then he fully embraces the power of darkness, and his family, being alarmed that their once future king is now becoming a monster, his brother is even shocked about this too, and so then they freak out on whatever they're trying to do. So then they go to Bahamut for guidance, and then once they actually do, he actually sensed this, because the Warriors of Light actually are connected to Bahamut because they've been imbued with the powers of light. Because they've been infused with the power of light, because of the crystal of light that they become the Warriors of Light, they are pretty much connected to Bahamut, because he made the crystal of light. So then he's connected to them, and especially anyone who is descendants to the Warriors of Light, he'll actually have that connection to them, and he knows exactly what that is, because that darkness that's been in him, that's actually corrupting him, is Chaos's darkness. That's Chaos's essence. Because of the serpent that bit him, I already mentioned that it is actually Chaos. And so then now Arden is now a total lost cause from this. He's far beyond redemption from this, because he has now become Chaos. So now who should ever try to stand up to him and actually try to stop him before he takes over the kingdom of Lucius with an iron fist to finish what Chaos started. Somnus decides to step up and try to stop him. As much as he hates the thought of killing his brother, he has to do it. He has to do it. So then Somnus's entire story is going to be very much akin to Jonathan Joestar's entire journey, having to fight his brother as much as he doesn't even like the thought of trying to do that, but he has to stop him before he does anything, before he just like rules over everything, you know?
Yeah. At least the difference between him and Dio Brando is the latter. He chooses to embrace his dark nature. Like
Yeah.
even with the sympathetic backstory, like he was bad to the bone.
Hmm.
Whereas with Somnus, he is an example of a fallen hero.
No, Arden.
Uh, right, Arden. Arden is an example of a fallen hero.
Yeah,
And
a fallen
also
king.
yeah, but on a side note, no, I think you were trying to remember Era.
Hmm?
Era, uh, Era, Arden's fiance.
Yes, that's who, yeah. In fact, so then, but he can't, so then Somnus can't do it alone. He can't actually face his brother alone. So then he has to call upon the four more other heroes to join alongside his journey, which are the descendants of the Warriors of Light. So now, and I hadn't even thought of their names yet. So then, whichever name you can come up with, that's whichever name you can come up with. So then he would get four more people of the Warriors of Lights, which some of them are which they're all at the kingdom of Tenebrae. So then they come together to journey along with Somnus to stop Arden before he takes everything over. Somnus actually comes out on top and is actually, and once he defeats Arden, once Arden is defeated, Chaos's essence has disappeared from him, but then his body is still very much scarred after. Yeah, his body is still scarred because after he just defeated him, overthrown him in one strike of a sword. Arden, excuse me. Arden dies in Somnus's arms, and so then in honor of their brother, they bury him within. They actually bury him within the castle by putting his coffin there in his memory, and Somnus becomes the first king of Lucius. And this is the first story of the Lucius bloodline, because if you wanted like more stories about the Lucius bloodline, that's gonna be just that for the Final Fantasy 15 Lucius the Lucius bloodline, which will be in an anthology series regarding about all the stories of the past kings of Lucius up till King Regis, the father of Noctis Lucius Caelum, because Noctis Lucius Caelum is the protagonist here in this game. And now he is Noctis Lucius Caelum the 15th, because he is the 15th king to inherit the throne of the kingdom of Lucius.
Yes, spiritually, you are not wrong. That everything like from the Astrals to the Messengers and the inevitable war, it is one heck of a story.
Mm-hmm. And that's always going to be the cycle of battle for the kingdoms of Lucius. It's always this battle of constant light versus darkness, because it's always involving chaos versus Bahamut. So then anytime when Bahamut would transfer his essence outside of the realm that he's banished in, so that he won't come back to Eos, so then he would use a human host. He didn't use the Lucius bloodline this time. or anyone who's connected to the Warriors of Light, because if he were to do that, then Bahamut would notice. So then he's trying to find a way so that Bahamut wouldn't actually notice. But then anywhere there's darkness that the Warriors of Light would see, they would go there, and then they would overthrow the darkness so that light would come out on top. So anytime, because this is what the prophecy would say, just like in Final Fantasy I's prophecy, when darkness veils the world, 4 Warriors of Light will come. Because that's always the cycle. It's been going on for so long. Because that's always the, in terms of the Kingdom of Lucius as well as the Kingdom of Tenebrae. But while in the meantime, the Niflheim Empire, I already mentioned, they're already starting to grow a bit more monstrous. Then they actually started growing more monstrous, though this time they actually built one machine that is their proudest achievement, which is a giant warship, which they called the Alexander, the same Alexander that's actually the walking castle in the Final Fantasy series. And it's the equivalent to a Metal Gear, pretty much. The Bloodline storyline among the best forms of storytelling, anthology stories within ever-shifting casts of characters. Yeah, pretty much. You can have light win or have darkness rake over and the heroes of light must emerge. Exactly. That's always going to be that conflict that always goes on for so long, because light and darkness are always at odds with each other, because Chaos is trying to take over all of Eos with an iron fist, whereas Bahamut is trying, as well as the other gods that created the crystals, are trying to stop him from doing this, because they're trying to prevent him from ever doing such a thing.
In other words, they want to maintain a balance in EOS.
Exactly, yeah. So now, fast forward to today, and now we enter the main events of Final Fantasy 15. So now the Niflheim Empire are actually signing a peace treaty with the Kingdom of Lucius, which the current king there is actually King Regis the 14th. And so then it turns out that the peace treaty turns out to be a fake, and it was actually an assassination attempt in order to try to destroy the crystal. But then it failed. So then as soon as Noctis began to notice that when he was far out from outside of his home, like not so far like how it is in the game where he's just on a road trip with his friends. He's out with his friends, or no, he's on a date with Lunafreya. So then they actually begin to notice that someone's actually trying to take over the castle. So then Noctis tells Luna to wait here, try to find someplace safe while I try. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm actually gonna go get a cup of water for my throat.
Yeah, take your time, dude.
Okay, I'm back. So now Noctis goes to check it out, and then he sees, oh my god, it's these guys. The Niflheim Empire is here. So now he tries to take them out. We enter our first gameplay section. So then Noctis's abilities are pretty much going to be similar to what they are in the game. He uses a warp strike ability, and he would still have the engine blade like he still has. Yeah, he would still have the warp strike ability, and he would still play very much similar to what he is in the original game that he's in the original game. So now, dang it, I spilled water on me, but it's all right. Um, so then suddenly, when more soldiers of the Niflheim Empire started to come in, the Kingsglaive actually show up, and two of the Kingsglaive are actually representing the Kingsglaive of Magic and the Kingsglaive of Technology are respectively Ignis for Magic and Prompto for Technologies. And they will all the characters are gonna play Noctis, Gladio, Ignis, and water spill. Better water spilling than soda. That stuff stains. It does, yeah. um so yeah, Gladio, Noctis, Ignis, and Prompto play very much similar to what they are in the original game. So nothing's gonna change much, not even about their roles in the story. But Noctis's role will be his characters will be slightly different in this rewrite. And
Hmm.
so
So,
hmm?
in this rewrite for Noctis, you're only going for a 5% change while keeping the rest of the 95% the same.
Well, I'm still keeping about like around 80% the same. 80% the
All right,
same. Like he's still the up and coming king of Lucius when the time comes, And so
all
but
right.
he's
So
not
what's
going
the
to
other
be like
20%?
much. So then the other 20% is that he's actually going to be taking on the role as the leader of the team because that's what he's going to be doing because Final Fantasy 15 is his story. This is going to be his story, going to be not only taking up the throne of Lucius, but working together along with his friends, as well as his lover Luna Freya, to overcome the power of darkness, which is going to be coming back here, and we will get to that later. And so then the Niflheim Empire, which is led by Prompto's dad, which I forgot what's his name too. Um, um, so then all the Niflheim Empire try to infiltrate the thing. So then they go in to try to go inside to protect the king. They go to protect the crystal as well as to protect the current king, which Noctis immediately goes there to protect the king because he loves his dad, which he always puts his family above all else. That's always going to be a thing with Noctis. That's always going to be a thing with Noctis here. He puts his family and friends above all else, even though he pretty much already doesn't in the game because he values them. But he puts his family and friends above all else in this rewrite. And this will become a thing that will actually happen throughout this entire game, in this entire rewrite. And so he and his friend Prompto actually go in to see if King Regis is okay, see if he didn't die, while Gladiolus and Ignis go to see if the crystal is still intact. And so then we primarily follow Noctis and Prompto on this while on the way there, and we see Noctis's dad, or no, not Noctis's dad. Well, we see him there. We see his dad, and he's still battling against Prompto's dad. Um, so that, but Regis is already very much going to be overwhelmed, and it looks like he's going to be killed in one final blow because he's already old and withered from this fight. But luckily, his son, as well as his adopted son, Prompto, because I actually made them adopted brothers in this rewrite.
All right.
They actually came in to stop him. So then Prompto then shoots his dad in the eye. There. It's like some way to treat your father, son. So then he tries to attack him now. So then he tries to like kill him. but then Noctis cuts off his arm. Noctis cuts off his arm once he did that, and then noticing from his 2 injuries, he decides to fall back. So the assassination attempt failed, and so then so then the Niflheim Empire retreats, and Gladiolus and Ignis come back, and they reveal the news that the crystal is still intact. They check. Star Wars reference.
Well, also, Schooner had actually asked you a question earlier in regards to music.
Is music going to play a theme in the story? Most Final Fantasy games have this now. Oh yeah, I mean the soundtrack will still be pretty much kept the same here. Like Somnus No Morris would still be the main theme, one of the main themes of Final Fantasy, main theme songs for 15, but the Stand By Me song that plays there, that is always the primary theme for this, because Final Fantasy 15 in its original story is about brotherhood, but then in this one, this theme here, for this theme here, the brotherhood thing is still going to be intact, but instead of going in more in the brotherhood, it grows more into a family route, family and royalty, because Noctis is about to get married to Lunafreya by sometime in the future. They are planning to get married, and he actually plans Prompto to be the best man at the wedding because they've grown up together as they are very much like brothers. And so then he chooses Prompto to be the best man at the wedding for this, because these two have grown up together and they feel like they know each other well. Gladiolus and Ignis know him well as well too, because they've been served to protect him as well as the king. But he always chooses Prompto he chose Prompto just to be the best man for that, because they are invited to. Because of course he would, because they've been serving him for a long time, as well as his dad. His dad will be there too.
Speaking of his old man, his name, the name that was under the tip of your tongue, is Versteel.
Versteel, yeah, that's Prompto's dad. And so then as the Niflheim Empire leaves, we then fast forward a day later. Or actually, wait, maybe a day later? Or
take your time.
Actually, yeah, we then fast forward to Noctis now trying to get back to Luna on their date, but suddenly he sees her older brother Ravis Luna. He meets Luna again, and then they try to resume on their date. So then she still she would tease Noctis about a lot of things, like just what happened now is like your family business again, and then Noctis would be like, of course I did. And the reason why she would tease him about it is because she would always know that, is because that's been something that they've always been. She always teased Noctis about since childhood, because they've been friends since childhood and they've been growing much into lovers, like how it was how it's supposed to be played out in the original game, at least. But suddenly, Luna's older brother Ravis shows up, and then he's just and he's trying to keep Luna away from Noctis, because he thinks that he's gonna be because he thinks he's just that feeling. You ever seen like your dad, where your sister would have a boyfriend, but then your dad is very overprotective of their daughter, and then so then they're trying to protect her from her said boyfriend at all costs because they think it might be a danger to her. You know that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. My parents wanted to and be protective of my sister. Like when she does when she finds herself like a boyfriend, and they want to make sure that he's on the up and up.
Yeah. It'd be something like that with Ravis and Luna's relationship. Because so then Luna's trying to get away from Ravis because because she's grown up with Noctis for some time now. And so she feels she's already been in Noctis is always a true love, but Ravis thinks otherwise, and she should find someone else other than Noctis for this. Because in fact, ever since childhood, Ravis had been pretty much a bit jealous to Noctis, or no, not jealous to Noctis. He always bullies Noctis since childhood. So then, when Luna would step in and actually save him and say to her brother, "Please stop this," and then Ravis would then just be like, "Fine, have it your way then," like that. So
Mhm.
then, so then, Ravis and Luna later have a shouting match, and then, so then Luna would always still choose Noctis over someone else because she's known him for some time. They're planning on getting married, and this is the final straw for Ravis. And so then because of this, he then say this, "Fine, have it your way." And then he always has this hateful look on him, then that's when he just leaves. And while Luna would still be very much angry towards her brother for this by being, forceful by forcefully trying to leave Noctis behind, but Noctis he always feels sorry for Luna having to put up with something like this for her because he wanted to be Ravis's friend as much so, but he pretty much never did. Like he just never did because of so much time of bad blood between the two.
Hmm. Uh, when it comes to situations like that, it can be hard to regain the bond that you developed over the years, like with your parents or anyone that you have formed a camaraderie with.
Yeah. And so then Luna would say, "I'm sorry that you had to see that." And then Noctis would be like, "Oh no, it's fine." So then they still continue on their date. And so then yeah, they still continue on their date, but suddenly we then see Ravis. We then go to Ravis's point of view, and it is going to be a cutscene here. Ravis would actually be leaving, and then he just lash, and then he'd just be watching over the seashore for this, and he would just be, and then he just clenches his fist, and then he pulls out his sword, and then he just slashes down a rock in one slash, and then it just comes down as a way of lashing out. It's like, why would Luna just prefer her that prince, that pampered prince? Why would she ever prefer this? Like, how could she ever turn her back on her brother like this by preferring to spend time with that pampered prince instead of trying to find someone else? Someone else someone who has their way earned their way up to the top, not just some spoiled prince. So then So then, once again, chaos would actually come in and actually would transfer, or actually then see something creeping up on him, and it is chaos, as we do see, as that's been many centuries that's been going on with in EOS in Final Fantasy 15 universe. And so then we then see something creep up on him, and then he looks back to see it's like, who's there? And then he turns around and probably says was nothing. Think of it like the symbiote scene in Spider-Man 3, where it just like we see the visual of the symbiote, and then it just hides, and then it finally actually starts to creep up on Peter as it gets all over his suit, and that's when he's then consumed by darkness. That's what pretty much what the scene is, pretty much.
Yeah, I can visualize that perfectly.
Yeah. And so then, but when he actually turns around to see that, it just like creeps up on his body. Or no, he actually like, we actually see it creeping up on his body. It's like, wait, what is this? And then he starts freaking out and seeing what's going on, and then fades to black. Or no, not fades to black. It cuts to black. And then we go back to Noctis and Luna's date. And suddenly suddenly they hear screaming, just saying, wait, what's going on? And they actually sing there's actually a monster there, and the monster that we actually see is actually they actually go to see what's happening. They actually go to see what's happening, and it's revealed that he's actually looking up, and he finds Noctis and says, Noctis, and it turns out it's actually Ravis in the Daemon look that we saw in the late game of Final Fantasy 15. And it's actually, and both are horrified as to what the heck happened to him. And as to what happened, and they see that he's just now grown so monstrous and so dark, they're actually scared of it to even try to, or not actually to fight back. Noctis would try to fight back. He would tell Luna to find somewhere safe, and so then Noctis would come in and try to find some way to stop it. So then we do see our boss fight, but Noctis gets his ass kicked by a chaos infested Ravis. And so then just when he's getting his ass kicked, Prompto, Gladiolus, and Ignis come in, and they actually try to stop him, but even then he's no match for them, as well as the Kingsglaive, and he just wipes the floor all over the place. And so then just when all of it seems lost and it's about to be the end, Luna steps in and actually tries to stop. Or no, he's about to deal the final blow on Noctis to try to kill one strike of the sword, but Luna steps in to try to stop him, and she's like, "No, brother, stop!" And then Ravis stops, and then as soon as he sees his sister, he then starts actually growing a headache, like it's just beginning to hurt, like he's just trying to remember. So then he just runs. And so now with Ravis is gone, Noctis actually stands up behind Luna and just goes, "Are you insane? You could have died." But I died for you. Or no, not actually. You could have died. Like, he didn't want to lose her. Like, he's so protective of Luna. It's like, what the hell were you thinking? And so then, I could have lost you, something like that. Yeah, like that. So And so then they begin to wonder what the heck just happened, who even was that, and they say that it's actually Ravis, and they know him for quite some time because Noctis has been telling about them for some troubles that he's been given from Ravis since childhood. And so then they go to speak to King Regis about this, and then he reveals that King Regis reveals that Ravis has been infested by chaos, and he knows about this because Bahamut even knows about this too. And so, then, as much as he even tried to, he's been infested with chaos's essence, and so then they actually tell him that he's now no longer Ravis anymore. He's just pretty much a shell of what he once was. So now he's just chaos now. And so now then Luna asks, so then why did he stop? So then why did he stop when he almost killed me? It's probably because, and then he responds, that's probably because Regis already has a strong attachment to you since you are her younger sister. You are, I keep saying her for Ravis when he's supposed to be male. Since you are his sister, his younger sister, maybe he cares so much about this. But be warned, he will still kill you in an instant due to chaos's influence that he's now infected with. And so now to set on this journey and actually now try to stop him before he might actually hurt anyone else. Like anytime he would see Noctis, he would try to go after him to try to kill him. So then now he's off somewhere else, but just in case if he hurts someone else, they have to set off on this journey to actually stop him. While Lunafreya would be reluctant at first to stop him, but she decides to join along with Noctis on his journey to try to stop him before he hurts anybody else, to try to convince Ravis to stop all this madness and fight against chaos. And so then Noctis would actually say decline that offer, but then Luna would say, if you are about to die for your kingdom, I will die for mine, as well as for your love. So then everyone else actually joins in on her to actually fight alongside with Noctis along with this journey. And then Noctis would say, okay, you can join, but I will still keep you safe. But in case of anything happens, I will keep you safe. And I will keep all of you safe. And so, as best I can, how we have to look, but in order to do so, we have to look out for each other. And then before they all leave, the cutscene in the game where Ravis spends one last talk with Noctis before he leaves, he then puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "Walk tall, my son." And so then Noctis takes it upon himself to now actually become the leader of the party. So now we actually set off on the journey. So any thoughts on Act 1 by far?
I'm impressed. Dang. I actually think it's actually better than the opening chapter from the original game.
Yeah. I mean, well, it does actually it does introduce you to gameplay anyway, but yeah, we pretty much know. So then, in terms of gameplay, I already mentioned that everyone else would be in the original game would play similar to how they are in the original game. The magic won't be used for grenades this time around because now the Kingsglaive with some that do use magic, such as the case of Ignis, who plays the role for a black mage in this game. They actually fill out for classes in this game. So, all right, I'm gonna be heading to bed, and I'm gonna catch the rest on the backwatch. This is pretty awesome so far. Final. Thank you, Schooner, and good night. And so,
Later, Schooner.
and so, um, so for the classes, Noctis would play out pretty much for a. He would play out as for a paladin, as he does have access to white magic, but he does have his own personal abilities, such as Warp Strike, like how he does in the game, as well as one extra ability that he has, which is Arminger Arsenal, which grants him the weapons of the past kings of Lucius. And he will actually get them. The first weapon that he gets for the Arminger Arsenal is his dad's weapon. And then he will get more weapons of the Arminger Arsenal for as soon as he levels up, Like almost it would actually be similar to how like when you actually try to level yourself up, like the more experience you get, you actually get for the sum you get certain magics for like certain espers in Final Fantasy VI, something like that.
Yeah, I remember witnessing that in gameplay footage.
Yeah, something like that. That's going to be the Arminger Arsenal ability for Noctis. And so, as for Luna Freya, she will be a prominent member in the party, though. She will be a summoner and a white mage. She will fulfill the role of a summoner and a white mage, similar to Aiko and Garnet from Final Fantasy IX and Yuna from Final Fantasy X. Prompto, he will be a gunner because that's basically his whole thing. Is he's actually a Kingsglaive of technology, and Gladiolus would play out as pretty much for a warrior, and he might have some access to magic, but he primarily fills out as just for like like a damage sponge type of character because he is really freaking powerful.
Right.
And so the two set off on the journey to try to find Ravis before he hurts anyone else. But meanwhile, when they're trying to find him, we see the Niflheim Empire are actually seeing that, oh, we actually see a man that's out there that's part of the Lucius bloodline. We gotta get rid of him so then he can actually. So then, as soon as we get rid of him, actually no. How will the trying to think how will the Niflheim Empire try to go after this? Like they'll rid of him first, and then they'll deal with the kingdom of the kingdom of Lucius next. Like, just like to get him out of the way, even though he already left. But actually, wait, no. They'll be involved sometime later, actually. So as soon as they actually try to find him, they actually see him try to find he finds a place where he finds a stone gate that actually has a keyhole in it, and so then he tries breaking it, but then there's already a mystical barrier around it, and so then the more he would actually try to destroy it, there's actually more monsters actually trying to come out, and then it finally breaks. And so then once it finally breaks, the four fiends of chaos, Ifrit, Garuda, Leviathan, and the Lich, and finally Chaos himself, are broken free. And so then, and not only are they free, Chaos takes full possession of Ravis. And then as soon as they see what happens, Chaos is now possessing Ravis. Because now Ravis is now absolutely long gone. Because now there's just only Chaos. When they see this, like Luna would just be like, "Hey, brother Ravis, stop what you are doing." Then he turns around and be like, "There is no Ravis. There is only Chaos." So now Ravis is no more. He is now Chaos. Like there's now full horns on his head. His eyes are now red. His skin is just now so pale. He would actually like grow a monstrous look. He would actually start growing claws. He is now Chaos. And so then now he takes full command of the four fiends of Chaos. Now he also has full command of the demons, and now they're already set free. And so then they scatter around some parts of the world of Eos. And so now, and just to keep them busy, he actually sends the demons forth on this. And as soon as they are all defeated, they actually, they try to wonder where has he gone now. But then they see everywhere that they're actually going. And the first thing they see is that the kingdom of Tenebrae is being set to flames. And so then our first fiend to fight there is Ifrit. So then they head there fast. So then as they go there to fight Ifrit, they actually find him, they tell him to stop. And then so then they fight Ifrit, which will be a bit similar to how he would fight in the original game at the final act, even though I set him first because, well, mainly because I just kind of wanted. I mean, I would pretty much like set it pretty much in any order how I would try to. Anyway, so then as soon as that happens, especially when Luna would summon Shiva, there'd be a similar conversation. It's kind of a similar thing that would happen when you summon Shiva in Final Fantasy VIII when you're fighting Ifrit in the Fire Cavern, where if you summon Shiva, Ifrit would actually recognize you actually have Shiva, and then he joins you. But in this case, when Lunafreya summons Shiva, she would still fight Ifrit, but she'd still be a bit reluctant to do so because she was Ifrit's former lover. And then Ifrit would be holding back on this too, from this, once he actually sees Shiva. And so then he would like he used to take a lot of damage, but then the damage that he would now do is that it was a little bit less damage. And so then now he would start holding back, and then soon as after he was defeated in the battle, Ifrit suddenly feels like he's been humiliated, and so then, or no, actually, no, not humiliated. Actually, yeah, he would be humiliated in battle. No. It can probably go like either of two ways. Either he is humiliated in battle from the defeat, so then he runs away, or the option two, he would actually see the error of his ways of what he had been doing and says, okay, you know what? You're right. I was actually wrong in doing this. So then he joins the party. Which do you think would actually follow?
Both options are not a bad idea. Have you ever considered another option where at first like he feels humiliated, but later later he does realize the error of his ways, which causes him to go on a journey of redemption after he joins Noctis's party.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I would save that like a bit later at the end game, but then I thought, yeah, because yeah, I'm honestly not sure how that would work. Like in the final act when they're finally managing to defeat Chaos eventually. So then,
Well,
actually,
you could introduce him like earlier in the game.
hmm, who Ifrit?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, they go to there first because this is where Lunafreya's home is set there first. It's actually being set aflames, and they're already being set on fire. Actually, option two I think might actually work out best. And I was like, so it was like, oh god, yeah, you're right, Shiva. I was set in the wrong. So then now he actually joins back in the pantheon and actually sees the error of his ways. And so then next to where they see next, but suddenly out of nowhere, a water serpent actually comes out, and they see Leviathan come out, and then now he's actually planning to destroy all of Tenebrae, a section of Tenebrae there. So then they actually go there. So then Noctis actually goes there to try to stop it. Yeah, he actually goes there, and it will be similar to how he fought Leviathan in the game. So then he would actually try to stop him. He would actually use Warp Strike on that part of Arminger Arsenal that he would actually have. But Noctis, in the process of doing that, gets himself knocked out. He almost got himself killed in the process of doing that. And so then just when he's about to be knocked out, he's then saved by a lady in a mask that's actually cladded in dragoon armor, and she's hidden in a mask. So then she just stabs Leviathan in the eye, and then actually takes Noctis out of there to try to save him, to get him out of there before she would have the advantage. Leviathan would have the advantage, but just after Leviathan was stabbed in the eye, he leaves. He leaves in retaliation from this. And so then he gives Noctis back to Lunafreya, and then she just ups and leaves. She doesn't say much because we don't reveal. It doesn't reveal as to who much is yet. And so then, and so when Noctis eventually wakes back up, then Luna would just be like, "How can you be so careless from this? How can you be so careless from this?" It's like, then he thought, I thought I was the only one capable to try to do this, because I thought I was like the best man for the job to try to stop him. So then they thought, so then I thought you said we're gonna look out for each other. Actually, you're right. I was careless. I'm sorry. So then they still forgive him just for his carelessness. And was like, yeah, I was that careless, because he thought he was the best person for the job to do this.
Yeah, that's it. That's just happen when you feel like you are doing what is right, only to realize that you were being reckless with that choice.
Yeah. And so then, and as soon as Leviathan just like had a uh, pretty short upbringing, or not upbringing, like came up a bit shortly. So then they wonder where to now. Where has he gone off to now? But suddenly, and so then they try to find. So then they actually go to Ifrit for information as to where to now, into saying there's actually the Lich is actually hiding somewhere in the cave where where the goblins are, where the goblins are. And so then they go inside to the cave because because the Lich is actually planning to um try to take over, or no, he's actually going to be in a graveyard where he's actually going to be trying to create an undead army in order to actually create like his dominion, like because he's secretly trying to plan to overthrow chaos now, like he'll try to be that way because even darkness turns on itself in the blink of an eye. And so then they go to so then as soon as he does that, then he will take over with an iron fist. So then now they're gonna go to the graveyard as best as possible. So then as they arrive at the graveyard, they see Prompto is now gonna be a bit of a scaredy cat here. It's just like because he has a fear of the undead there.
Ooh.
So then now for the sake of Noctis as well as the other party members, he just now is a but he's still just like gonna be scared to do that. Like he's just gonna be shivering, like he's still gonna be like paranoid doing this, like anything that comes up he just like goes there. He's gonna be like a bit trigger happy. He's gonna be very jumpy as to what's going on, as to when he's actually in the graveyard. So then undead enemies will arise there from the Lich. And as soon as they arrive at the Lich King, they actually found him. And so then he would find them and says, "Ah, so you've arrived. And ready to stop you from taking over like chaos, and ready to stop you." Or actually, Prompto would say, "And ready to stop you." Talk bold, but yet you still shiver in your boots. And so then, so be it, to prove. If you want to be tough, then how about you face your fears? And so then the battle commences. It will be the Lich versus the undead. So then, and as soon as they try to take over, as soon as they defeat the Lich, wait, no, actually, I try to think. Nah. As soon as they defeat the Lich, he actually dissipates and is now actually gone for good. And so then the undead are now just, and so then all the undead just collapse. And so then now Prompto is now just relieved of, after all this, is like, "Oh, thank God it's finally over. Can we go? Can we get out of here now?" All right. Well, so then they ask Ifrit as to where to now. And then they hear a screech somewhere up in the sky somewhere. And it's actually Garuda. So then now they actually go outside. So then they go out of the graveyard. And then they see Garuda actually flying around. Or no, they try to see where Garuda would actually be at. But then suddenly Garuda snatches Luna. And then goes, "If you want her back, why don't you come and try to stop me then?" And so then Noctis would actually try to warp strike up there, but up to no avail, as then he would miss. And so then he would just try to let Garuda would then let Noctis fall, but then Noctis would then be saved thanks to the wind magic from Ignis, given to him being a Kingsglaive, since he is a black mage of the group. Then he saves him and says, "Don't be so careless again. We don't want you to die this time after what you did with Leviathan. What happened with Leviathan?" So then this whole fight is going to be Lunafreya is being used as bait for Noctis to try to trying to get Noctis to try to attack Garuda, but he would just use Luna as just a human shield from this to try to bait him to try to attack her. So then Ignis has to find. So then they have to find other ways around it thanks to Ignis. And so then it all has to fight in you have to find out target points. So then it would leave up to Ignis and Prompto for this job. So then Prompto would then opting to use Sniper. So then Noctis actually has the good idea. So then you would have to find the exact pinpoint to make sure you don't hit Luna, because if you hit Luna, it's an instant game over. So you have to hit Garuda for this in order to actually deal some damage on that. So then Prompto would actually use a Sniper for this, where then as Ignis would try to, Ignis would actually infuse the magic from to his daggers and actually try to toss them at to Garuda in order to deal some elemental damage. And so now when Garuda's defeated, she then drops Luna. Noctis Warp Strike warps up there to try and actually catches her to save her. And then once again, and Ignis has to save him via wind magic just so he doesn't die by falling, like what happened when he did it the first time. And so then once again, and Garuda then comes down there and tries to actually claw the two to try to kill them, but then suddenly once again, the lady dressed in dragoon armor then just tries to actually actually jumps on there and actually tries to distract it long enough to try to stop it in order to get it away from that, but then she falls, and so then Noctis warps up there and then saves her again, just returning the favor of what she did to him when saving her from Leviathan when he almost got knocked out, when he almost got killed. But then suddenly, not only when she actually fell when she got knocked out, when she was being saved, her mask actually broke, and it's actually revealed seen her face from this, and it's just like, oh shit, like she's just trying to hide it, like she's just trying to like hide herself, because she's actually now being more of a trying to hide like her secret, like like her secret identity, because she's more of a vigilante type, because she would not reveal herself as to who she is until a lot later now. And so then she just jumps away and just goes like, hey, wait.
Yeah, that makes sense, because in that way it helps builds a mystery for the characters to decipher on who is under the mask.
Mm-hmm. Well, her mask already broke anyway, so then there was so what she looks like, and her mask already broke anyway, and so then she tries to hide it, because she's trying to hide it from everyone so that they won't even know. And so then, and that's when she just leaves. And so then Garuda now leaves, and so now they're left with what now? And then suddenly the Niflheim Empire comes in, and they're actually ambushed by them. And so then, and as soon as they're actually being ambushed, once again, what was Noctis' dad again? Or no, not Noctis' dad, Prompto's dad.
Oh,
like you said it earlier.
Yeah. I actually mentioned Valistair.
Then Valistair comes up and just says, "Ah, the now future king of Lucius." And then he just actually comes back now with an eye patch and a bionic arm. That we actually see him now, because after, if you remember, that he's just got his arm cut off and his eye got shot after the failed assassination attempt. We meet at last. What brings you here to try to get to me instead of my kingdom? Oh, you know, just to get back at you for humiliating me earlier. And so then all of them got arrested. They're actually put behind their backs. So then Noctis is actually put at the forefront thanks to dang it, I keep blanking on names.
All right, which one this time?
Again, it's Prompto's dad. I'm
That was
looking
there.
up Valister. I'm actually looking up the name now. Looking up the name now just so I don't forget this round.
Yeah, for each of the casts.
For some of them. For some of them, actually, like for him specifically.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Yeah, okay, Valister. Okay, Valister. Make sure I do not forget. It's Valister. Alright. Alright, so then alright, so Alright, so now that they're all arrested, they're now apprehended, and they're actually now they actually set up barriers now. It's these little poles that now set up a red dome around them, and it's that way they can't use magic this time around. And so now, Valister actually uses bionic arm, which now actually has a built-in taser, just to use it to torture Noctis for his amusement, just for after what he humiliated him for. So now he's just going to use it on him to try to use it just for his own amusement, so like torture him until he would die. So then all of them just cannot help but watch, but now they can't even have their magic abilities now. So then as soon as Noctis would actually would almost die for this, from being tased from Valister so many times, suddenly the Dragoon Lady then shows up again. The Dragon Lady then shows up again and actually destroys the magic barrier, and actually just go, and then he actually just goes like, "What, you?" And then she stabs him. And then she actually stabs him right in his abdomen, and then that's when he actually dies. And then the other soldiers try to apprehend her as well, but then she proved far too powerful. But more reinforcements of the Niflheim Empire try to come in. They almost overwhelm her, but they try to help her out. Just go, "Let us help you." And so then now we have 6 members in the party. So now that once all of them have been taken down, the Niflheim Empire would pretty much be no more at this point, since now Valister is dead now, and now all the forces of the Niflheim Empire are now gone, and soon as after they actually helped her out, she would then thank them for this, and so for helping, she would they thank her for helping them out, and so then she thanks them for helping her out. So then she would try to overthrow all of the Niflheim Empire's reinforcements. So now the Niflheim Empire is no more. And then she was about to leave, but just before she would leave, they would ask, "We didn't get your name." And then she just reveals, like, and then she just shows them, like, I'm not much of a people person, and that's when she just leaves.
All right.
And so, um, and so now with the Niflheim Empire gone, they now try to find somewhere else to go. But suddenly, and then suddenly, the Alexander ship, the Niflheim Empire's warship, has now been destroyed, and then they see that it's actually Leviathan that's actually destroyed it. Now this time around, and now he's actually planning to flood this area where the party's at now. So now to actually now try to kill them now, or actually no, they actually try upping that to try to destroy that now, just to get it out of the way, and now it actually just like goes, instead of just attacking them, Noctis' party, it jumps over them. It actually goes straight to, or no, not actually jump over them. Like it destroys that, then goes back down. Because even though it probably would have attacked them, it doesn't even do that. It tries going back down, and then Ifrit would then sense, would probably feel like it's probably because he's out for revenge now, out for the dragon, out for the dragoon, out for the lady who stabbed her eye, who stabbed Leviathan's eye. And so now they see that, oh god, now she's going to be in danger. We got to go save her. We got to save her now before he actually comes to actually try to kill her. But they don't even know where she's at. But luckily he's actually just now following this trail, but Leviathan is already, in order to know where Leviathan's already going with this trail, Lunafreya would have to actually try to use her magic to try to find, for the gods to try to guide her in order to find where Leviathan is at, in order to where he's going, and he's actually going straight to a village, and that's where, and he sees that the dragoon lady is right there, and so now they try to go there and fast, and so then the area, and as soon as they go there, they see that the area is completely flooded, and they see Leviathan is trying to find the dragoon lady, and then as soon as the dragoon lady tries to go in for another strike to try to hit it in the other eye, it just whips its tail. Leviathan whips its tail straight to the dragoon lady, and then falls into a building and almost falls into the water, just so then it would finally, try to kill her at last as revenge for stabbing Leviathan in the eye. So now, but just before he would, Noctison comes in and actually does that job for that by stabbing Leviathan in the other eye, and now just blinding Leviathan now, and actually comes in to get the dragoon lady out of here and make sure she's actually in a safer area. And so now Leviathan is now still out there in revenge because there's people in this village, and he's trying to find, now he's after finding them, so now they gotta fight Leviathan. And so now this time, Noctis now with Prompto, they're all now having to deal with Leviathan now. So now Noctis would still have to be trying to redirect Leviathan by using one of the weapons from Armiger Arsenal, by actually stabbing it straight in the back and try to redirect it as much as it could possible, even though Leviathan's trying to shake it off. Prompto and Ignis still keeps using elemental attacks by using lightning this time around, and Prompto just keeps trying to shoot it, try to pinpoint it, to actually try to hurt it more, to try to deal some damage with it. And so then Gladiolus would also be along with it, try to help Noctis try to redirect it, so then Leviathan's trying to shake him off too. But Luna, she's actually trying to make sure that Ignis and Prompto are safe by trying to use barriers around them to try to keep them protected so that they won't be attacked by Leviathan, just in case for that. And so then, as the fight goes on, which is going to be a really intense fight, Apocalypse's Aquarius, the Leviathan boss fight in the game, still plays, and then as it reaches its climax, Leviathan finally falls down in defeat, injured. And so then now, and then suddenly the flood suddenly starts going down from this, and then Ifrit actually speaks to Leviathan and goes, "Ifrit, you turned your back against chaos now, have you?" "I noticed the error of my ways, Leviathan, and I want you to do the same. Please." "You know humans are destructive, right?" "That's what I thought they were. But not all of them are." "Okay. Fine." So then Leviathan joins Noctis's party. And so you're about to say something, Don?
Not yet. Continue.
Okay. And so then now, after all this is over, they actually felt exhausted from this because it has been a really intense fight. And so now they now have to tend the wounds of the Dragon Lady, to which they actually save. And so Lunafreya heals it by using Cure. Using healing magic on her. And so then, even then, after that, she still feels exhausted after all this had happened, after she's been knocked out. And so then, because of this, they decided to actually settle down for a while by actually now looking after her now, to just pay for the respects, all that she's done for them, in order to pay. So yeah, all the respects that they've done for her saving them, they pay the respects to her by them saving her now. And so then she tries to leave once, but she still feels very tired, and they say, "Hey, you need to rest now." So then she just lays down, saying, "Fine." Even though she wasn't much of a people person, she then starts opening up to them now. And so then she reveals herself that her name is Aranea Highwind. So she is now actually the Dragoon here in the story, and in this rewrite, after she would save them, she would save them many times, and then she would be saved by them thanks to this in return. She decides to finally join them for this, just for that, in return of saving her, just for that, by paying her respects to them, by looking out for them as they looked out for her. So now they're already looking out for each other. So in the writing tense, as to how she would play out, she would play as the 6th ranger of the team. And so then, after now she recovers from her injuries, they continue on their quest. And so then they see now the kingdom of Lucius is now under attack once again. And so then they go there to try to figure this out, try to find out what's going on now. And then see that all of Lucius has been destroyed now. And then what they see in front of Noctis's home castle is the body of his father Regis, and then Noctis is actually shocked to actually see that the body of his father is now dead in front of him, and saying, "This is my domain now." So then Noctis now is now embroiled with rage. He now wants to actually he now tries to stop him once again, falling back to being reckless now. He tries to stop Luna. He almost does, but Luna and the guys try to stop him from doing this in case of ever doing this again, because they really didn't even want to lose him. And so now this is his domain, and Garuda is still now this is his domain, and before they could actually try, Noctis could actually try to stop him, and the rest of them try to stop him from that. Garuda then comes in and actually tries to get Noctis back, knocks Noctis back, and one super strong wins. And so then Garuda would be our final fiend to fight in this boss fight. And so now Garuda's our final fiend to fight. And so now, during the fight, she would then take place for Ifrit's boss fight at the final act of the game. And so during this fight, now that you have Aranea on your team, Garuda can be pretty powerful. Because she would hit like a truck. But as soon as trying to imagine how this boss fight will go. Because she would always just try to knock back the party with strong wind magic, and she would just like still always try to claw them, which would deal massive amount of damage. And so then so then she would still just continuously try to fly around, and even when you try to go at long range points, you have to get it just right in order to hit her whenever she's flying. It would be like almost the Black Warts fight in Final Fantasy IX when Vivi wakes up to his trance awakening, awakens to his trance ability. So then, or like Safer Sephiroth, the Safer Sephiroth fight at the end of Final Fantasy VII, where if he would go down on the ground, that's when you would deal physical attacks. But when he's already up on the ground, you would have to use either magics, or if you have a character with an aim ability, that's your only way to do that. And so thankfully with Prompto with Gun, so then when she's down on the ground, Noctis and Gladiolus would be your go-to for this, but when she's up on the ground, then Ignis, Prompto, Lunafreya, and Aranea would now deal the rest for that and wipe the floor with it. And as soon as Garuda falls down in defeat, she would sense that Leviathan and Ifrit are actually now part of this, and they try to convince her to join with us to stop chaos now. But Garuda instead chooses not to. And so instead, she tries to go after her, do this, but then just as soon as she does, boom. But then as soon as she does, right before she does, Odin then comes in and actually takes her down in one slash with the dark blade that he has after his time as Chaos. And so now Garuda is now dead, good as dead, from this. Now, it probably wouldn't even make sense given that Garuda's a god because, well, yeah, but so is Odin. But his ability, his sword can actually pierce a god. You know.
Hmm.
So now Odin actually joined. Odin would then say, "Sorry that it took so long. You could have joined in earlier." Let's just say I had other business to take care of. Like he's already got something else going on. Um, but other than that, he actually joins your party, Noctis's party, and so then he goes in. So then, and before they actually go inside, Noctis cradles his father in his arms. Did I mention that he was dead?
No, you didn't.
Oh, so then when Noctis actually goes up to his father, um, cradles him in his arms, and he actually sheds a tear seeing if he's dead. But then Regis actually reaches out and says, "Don't cry, son. Dan? Dan, you're okay. I thought you were I thought you were dying." "Just injured, son. Sorry that I alarmed you." So then he's just already just injured. But so then thankfully Luna already helps him. So then Noctis already helps him out with the magic that he has because he is able to cast white magic since he is a paladin. So then, even when that helped, he's still very much tired after that happened. So then, can you walk now? Can you walk? "I'm afraid I'm still tired, son. But you have to stop Chaos before he destroys the crystal." So then, so then they, so then in the name of his father, Noctis and his party actually go into the castle to try to stop Chaos before he reaches the crystal to try to destroy it by going inside. And so as soon as they reach the crystal, and before he would actually destroy it, they would actually go, "Not so fast, Ravis. It's Chaos." So then, and as soon as I'm trying to imagine how this would actually try to go down before the fight actually begins. Trying to imagine this. So then, as soon as before he would try to destroy the crystal of light. So then he would try to take over. And then he was already stopped given that chance. Like he was already interrupted, and so Ravis. So then, Ravis, now infested completely by chaos, goes, "I see the forces. My four fiends are just now all gone, whether turned or dead. But in that case, I will. But in that case, I will. Then now I'll rule you. In that case, I will. In that case, I will destroy them as they. Or no. How would I imagine this? So if they turn on me, then what have I got to lose now? Come, if it is death you seek." And so then the final battle actually begins. And And so then, as this is going down, this would be playing similar to the Chaos fight in Final Fantasy One. He would actually be immune to all types of magic, but then, so then you have to actually, as soon as he would hit like a truck, and he would be immune to all types of magic, you would have to, you would still have to try your best in order to stay alive throughout this fight, because this is it. Like, this is it, guys. We gotta do this now, you know? And so, then, when with one final strike, in a last-ditch effort, Luna actually summons all the summons to try to do this. So then it goes from Ifrit to Leviathan to then Shiva to Ramu to Bahamut to finally Bahamut and Odin to actually deal with the final blow, to deal with chaos, to strike down chaos for good. And so then, and as soon as that happens, yeah, they all the party members actually deal with chaos for good, and then the gods strike down chaos for good to end his reign of terror once and for all, to all this madness that he's done. And so then chaos then dissipates, and then Ravis, and as chaos dissipates, so does Ravis. And so, yeah, like Ravis is just now like gone after chaos is just now gone for good, which actually ends the cycle of the light and darkness once and for all.
Hmm.
And so afterwards, now that Ravis is actually given a gravestone, and he's actually buried along with and he's actually buried he's actually buried right next to or no, not actually Luna Freya's home, but he's actually buried right next to where Arden's gravestone is, as a remembrance that they will actually remember him in memory for this, because even after all this, Luna still remembers him, and Noctis does too, because he wanted to get along with him, even after the shit that he's put Noctis through, even back in childhood. He still remembers him, like in memory of him, like in loving memory of him. So then, the kingdom of Lucius, especially the kingdom of Tenebrae, rebuilds itself back up. Luna and Noctis finally get married. Regis, who's now recovered from his injuries. Regis and Aranea has actually been invited to the wedding. Or no, actually she wouldn't be. But she would pretty much just watch it from afar. Like, she said she wouldn't be coming to the wedding, but she's just watching it from afar, and she's pretty much she would just look onto it with a smile. Just pretty much with a smile, like. And so then, and thus, Noctis inherits the throne and becomes the new king of Lucius, but doesn't have to worry about the darkness being a present thing once more, because now that chaos is now gone for good now, and Noctis and Luna actually live happily ever after. And thus concludes the Final Fantasy 15 rewrite. Thoughts?
Yeah. You really put a lot of time and effort, and really having this rewrite be fully realized, huh?
Oh yeah, I tried it as best I could. How?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. There's like so far it is it is, well, I'll say this, written like very coherently, handling like each of the original ideas that was brought up and from the games like are on point and we're able or adjust it in a way that doesn't feel too foreign from the original game.
Yeah.
In terms, I mean, although there are some areas that could be worked on, or not. Uh, to clarify on what needs to be revised to make it go from good to great, we'll have to get back up. I will have to get back to you on that because I need to let that all marinate.
Well, yeah. I imagine everyone else has their own thoughts of the Final Fantasy 15 rewrite, because I imagine, um, but but I think, but as much as any of you in the comments may actually have your thoughts, like Dom said, like give time to marinate upon all of this, but I'm still at least give myself. I hope this at least gives you at least some closure to having a revitalized version for Final Fantasy 15 than if the than the final game. As much as I enjoyed it for what it was or for what it is, I did, even though I know that's already some of a has a lot of problems. I feel as though I'm actually kind of proud of the way it kind of turned out, as I feel like it could have been something better. But other
Indeed.
than yeah, but other than that, that about does it here now. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, and also St. Patrick's Day, guys, because I'm actually just wearing a Green Lantern shirt here. Also got some green pants here.
I'm wearing I'm wearing a green long sleeve shirt because it is St. Patrick's Day and also I do have some like Irish in me from my old man's side of the family.
Really?
Yep.
Anyway. But yeah, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, click like and subscribe and share with your family and friends. And make sure you ring that notification bell. That way you get notified of our latest videos. And Shazam Power of Hope will be delayed on Sunday because, well, Wolf had been, one of my good friends had been, March hasn't been a bit kind for us, as all of us had a lot of us had either been tired or some of us had sick or we got a lot of other stuff to do. But it will happen. It will happen on Sunday. What would be the, looking at the calendar here, it would be on the 19th. Yeah, March 19th would be Shazam Power of Hope for comic studies. But on Monday, directly after, will be another comic study episode of Wonder Woman Spirit of Truth. And then March 24th would be episode 3 of Final Fantasy Rules covering the Red Mage class. And then and then next week, the week after those, would say on somewhere around next week, like I would say around March 27th, 26th or 27th will be the final two stories for Justice League World's Greatest Superheroes, Justice League Secret Origins, and Justice League Secret Origins. And around the week before my birthday, would set around on April 6th, will be the comic studies for Kingdom Come. So be sure you stay tuned for that. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Final Fantasy Fan 12 signing off, and remember, may the light forever shine upon